Since the dawn of time, one question has been asked every 4 years.
Why is that black man so fucking fast?
What? I don't know, just keep going, I guess.
For years, no one knew.
I don't know. I would say it's not rap. It's not rap. It's
So right now, this story is just got more questions than answered.
But now, we found the answer.
And his name is John C.
No! Fuck that, this video is about black people. Goddamn crackers. So, it's pretty well known to the world that black athletes are dominant in running events, whether it's black Americans or Jamaicans in the short distances, or East Africans in the long. Black athletes have been winning medals in running events for decades. And why are they so good, you may ask? I have absolutely no idea. What? But you're supposed to know, you're doing a video on it. What, you mean I actually have to do some research? Oh, for fuck. Okay, let's start with short distance runners. Since 1968, the world record holders in the men's 100 metres have all been black athletes, and that just can't be a coincidence. A study from Howard University in Washington DC and Duke University in North Carolina have suggested black athletes may outperform athletes of other races in these events due to their physical differences in the length of their limbs and their centre of gravity. For a sprinter, their centre of gravity affects how fast their feet are moving when they hit the ground. Now, genetically, there are distinct differences in the body types among black and whites. Black people tend to have longer limbs and smaller circumferences, meaning that their centres of gravity are higher compared to whites of the same height. Also, Asians and whites tend to have longer torsos than that of blacks, so their centre of gravity is lower. And remember, a person with a higher centre of gravity will hit the ground faster than someone with a lower centre of gravity. What's interesting is that the blacks that are genetically built like this, whether they're from Jamaica, America, or the Ivory Coast, all originate from Western Africa. Which then leads to the question, why aren't more Africans winning the 100 and 200 metres? In fact, no African has ever won the 100 or 200 metres race at the Olympic Games, yet 4/5 of the 100 metre gold medalists from 1960 onwards have fit our mould. Well, that answer can all be found from the slaves gene theory. Wait, did you just say slave? Well, yeah.
You suck.
You're a cunt. No wait, just hear me out. So it's fair to say that the majority of blacks living in North America and the Caribbean are descendants of slaves, these slaves being picked up from parts of West Africa hundreds of years ago. We all know stories of the conditions on the boats that these people were transported on, and the conditions on the plantations they were forced to work on once they had landed. Of course, they survived the journey. So from that, it's fair to assume that the weaker slaves died out whilst the genetically stronger ones survived, and because of this reproduced. Now, if this was true, which is fair to say is likely given how hard these people were forced to work day in, day out, that would mean that the majority of black people living in the Americas have genetic traits that mean they have a physical advantage in the case of athletics, like running, jumping and fighting. In events where you don't see black domination, like the high jump, technical skill is a bigger factor in these events, and as such, this levels the playing field. I'm not saying that the 100 or 200 metres aren't technical, they're just less so. I mean, come on, even this ginger twat could win the long jump in 2012. This proves anyone can do it.
Got him!
So that leads us on to black long distance runners, who usually seem to be from Eastern African countries like Kenya, Ethiopia, and in the case of Mo Farah, Somalia. Why are they so good? Well, according to the research, there's no evidence to suggest that it's due directly to genetics. One factor often suggested is the extensive walking and running that these athletes have to undertake from an early age. A total distance to and from school is often between 3 to 12 miles. Or it could be the altitude that many of the elite Kenyan and Ethiopian runners were born, raised and trained at, usually around 6,000 to 8,000 feet. This may lead to superior levels of this and that. In turn, this leads to an increased ability to transport oxygen to the working muscles. And that's about it. If you enjoyed this video or learned something new from it, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it greatly. I know this video is overkill on the facts and not very funny, but as we all know from this twat, what's the most important thing in the world?
Here in my garage, just bought this new Lamborghini here. I'm a lot more proud of these 7 new bookshelves that I had to get installed. The more you learn, the more you earn. How I read a book a day. Knowledge. You know, I read a book a day not to show off. It's again about the Lamborghini. Knowledge. In fact, knowledge. Hollywood Hills. Knowledge. Although I love books. Knowledge. Lamborghini. Lamborghini. Fuel units. It's not just about money, it's about the good life.